All right, you don't want just a huge list of papers and things all jammed together. You want some form of organization. I already mentioned in the previous videos that there's a tagging system, which you can see active here in the bottom left. And so I want to talk about the tagging system, how I use it, which might give you an idea of how to use it, but this is very customizable. Figure out tags that work for you. So first though, we all like it when things are automatic. I already mentioned there is an option to have it automatically tag things with the keywords that the authors selected. I don't recommend that because, for example, this tag right here, CVD, is for cardiovascular disease. So if someone else instead, when they tagged their paper for submission, they called it cardiovascular disease, or maybe they said CVD, but it was all lowercase, those will all be different tags within Zotero, and it just creates a big mess. So that's why I highly recommend just using manually, quote unquote, manually tagging things. But we want some stuff that's automatic, right? So we're going to go to Google and we are going to go for Zotero. Again, this will be in the YouTube comments below, but we'll go for Zotero Auto Tagger. Because again, I always just kind of find these in forums, and then that's how I get to my GitHub. So this is going to take you to this GitHub. Again, there will be a link below, and you will follow this guide. So it'll show you how to install the auto tagger, and then you can set up any sort of auto tags you want. So tools, let's see here. Preferences? Yep, Zotero tag. So it's edit, preferences, and then so here's the auto tagger. It's this one all the way here on the right. This won't be here until after you've installed auto tagger and restarted Zotero. So if you don't see it, that's why. Make sure to restart. And then you can set up whatever you want. So I have mine. When I add an item to Zotero, it automatically tags it with the tag to read. And when I open the item, it removes the to read tag and it adds a have read tag. That way I can keep track of which items, because I tend to add stuff, I might add 10 things a day and not get around to reading them for a long time. So I want to keep track of things that I've already read and things that I still need to read and see at a glance, things that I should probably read sometime. So that's why this is the way that it is. But you can use auto taggers for basically anything, but that's basically the only reason that I use an auto tagger is to keep track of things that I've read versus things that I haven't. So once you've created tags, you'll start having, you'll have a little tag cloud down here for all sorts of, any tag that you have will appear here. And to add a tag to an item, as I kind of showed in the second video, I believe, you just click on the item itself, and then on the right, there's info, notes, tags, and related. Hit tags, and then you can just start adding tags there. And you can add as many as you want. You can get really creative with it if you want. So that one, of course, has just to read, so I haven't read it yet. Once I read something, then I typically will start adding tags as I've read it. So let's see here. Where's a paper that I've read? Let's see, one that has notes maybe. Yeah, so this paper, I've read it. And so you can see I've added a lot of tags here about what it is. So it has got my have read tag because I've read it. And then I've tagged it, this is all about an enzyme, a dual action enzyme called xanthine dehydrogenase / xanthine oxidase. So I've got it with enzyme activity because it's about how that enzyme's activity is managed. It's about hypoxanthine, it's about oxidative stress, it's a mechanism. It involves the purine metabolism pathway. It is a review of the literature. It involves uric acid / serum urate, and it involves xanthine. So all these tags were added by me, and so these are the types of tags I use. And what I highly recommend is figuring out what tags are going to be specific enough to actually narrow things down without being so specific that each tag is only used by one paper ever. So like UA/SU, that used to be serum urate and uric acid separately, and I combined them, things of that nature. So once those are made, and then you can also see things that I've done. So I have a tag called due, and that's stuff that I literally have a due date by which time I need to read this. That's usually a journal club or something I need to present. Then I also tag things based on the model of the study. So if they did a mouse model, I tag it as a mouse model. If it was in humans, I tag it as human. If it was cell culture, I tag it as cell culture, things of that nature. And then let's see here, the due also I put on in an actual due date, and then once I've read it, I remove that tag so it goes away, and the due tag goes away as well. Let's see here, other useful things that it might be actually useful for everyone and not just people studying the exact thing that I'm reading. Oh, I'd mentioned that one of them was tagged review. That's because sometimes you only want to look at, original research. Other times you could just really want a good review of something. So I try to make sure that I tag kind of the nature of what it is. So I have a review, I have original research, and I have comment, letter, or opinion as a tag that I can choose. Let's see here, what else have we got? Data analysis. So that's one that's all about ways to analyze data and not necessarily about, it might not actually be a study in a traditional sense, but it is a way to, but it's about data analysis. Let's see here. Dissertation, anything that I quote or anything that I cite directly in my dissertation goes under that tag. Let's see here. A figure, I have things that aren't papers and are just literally just figures that I think might be useful. So this is how caffeine is metabolized and what enzymes do it. So I have the pathway for that, and then so that is in there. So that's figure. Go away, figure. Let's see here. Where were we at? Figure. Have read. We've already gone over that one. Journal club. Anything that I've had to read or had presented to me in a journal club goes there. Mechanisms. Anything that's an actual proposed mechanism as opposed to just an observational study. Meta-analysis that goes along with the systematic reviews and meta-analysis reviews. Comment, letter, opinion, original research, things of that nature. Methods, specifically about what it sounds like, methods, so it's not necessarily a research situation, it's just stuff like, oh, where did that go? What have we got here? We've got how to do meta-analysis, how to do power analysis, a whole book on meta-analysis, using beta coefficients in meta-analysis, etc. Let's see here, cell culture models. Original research we've mentioned. Pathway is kind of the same. So, it's got more figures here as well as discussions of how pathways work. Programming, anything about programming, so it's not specifically research as well. Protocols, so I actually have specific protocols that we use for a lab. I've only got one added to Zotero right now, it appears, but we have all sorts of machines in our lab that we use to genotype and things of that nature. So any research protocols you can also add in here for quick reference. Oops, didn't mean to look at polyunsaturated fatty acids. Racial receptors, a resource. So this is a lot of software is under my resource section. Poster templates. I made an actual just PowerPoint template. So this is actually a PowerPoint template for when I need to make a poster for a conference. Let's see here. So that's all under resources. Software we've talked about. All of my textbooks are in my Zotero. And that's basically all the kind of general tags that I think might be useful for others to consider as part of their tagging system. But again, this is all, it's free form. What's going to work best for you? Think about how you like to organize things. Think about how things that you study or are interested in could be combined, and you'll be able to use the tagging system. Now, kind of separate from, but working along with the tagging system is the folder system up here in the top left. So everything goes into my library, but under that you can have all of my books and chapters, general research interest, any of my journal club stuff, papers. So anything that I cite, in a paper that I wrote, I'll have a folder for that paper. I haven't added them all in yet because I've been reorganizing my Zotero, but any paper I've written, anything that was cited in that is going to be in its own folder under papers so that I can easily get to it again. Anything relating to just my profession and not necessarily relating to research, any software and resources, things of that nature. Also, Zotero will automatically add your own publications in if you set it up to do so. So that's there as well. But the cool thing is, as you might have noticed, as I'm kind of clicking along, if I click on journal clubs, it will only show me tags that are in the journal clubs. So that way you can use that to quickly narrow things down even more. So that's how you can use the tagging system and the folder system to keep yourself organized and be able to find stuff a lot easier in your Zotero.